When it comes to determining the power and scope of fictional franchises, it's very important to take into account the setting, specifically the cosmology of said franchises. In this case, I'll be discussing the idea of an infinite-sized universe, mainly as a general topic, but with the examples used being Dragon Ball, DC Comics, and Marvel Comics. I will also be discussing the counter-arguments generally presented when a universe is claimed to be infinite in size, and use examples in a similar way. Now, the first step, of course, is establishing a universe as having infinite size. This is fairly easy to understand, though can run into some complications. Generally, you'll just need a few statements stating the universe to be infinite or a similar statement, such as a universe being referred to as an infinite void, having infinite stars, containing infinite darkness, or having infinite galaxies. Sometimes, statements like these can be poetic in nature, though being poetic does not contradict the idea of the statement being literal, as something taken as fact can also be used in poetic manner, such as using colors when describing objects, like saying roses are red and violets are blue. However, it is good to have completely literal statements from credible sources as well, such as narrators, guides, or characters knowledgeable on the universe. Infinite is not the only statement usable for establishing universe sizes. For example, words like endless, limitless, and boundless, while possibly used more figuratively, such as just describing something that seems to have no end, but does, such as how you may call the horizon endless, are solid supporting evidence, and, if provably being used literally, can be just as good as a statement calling a universe infinite. Other words, like countless or bottomless, are also usable as supporting evidence, though countless doesn't have to mean infinite even if used literally, as it can just mean an amount too high to be counted, and bottomless can refer to the universe not having a bottom in a traditional sense, the same way you wouldn't say a universe has a ceiling. Now, what can this be applied to? Once a universe has been proven as infinite, it's usually used for determining a character's power, durability, or speed. So, if a character can significantly affect or destroy a universe of infinite size, this can be used to say that character has infinite power. And if they can cross an infinite size universe, or dodge an object which can cross that distance, this can be used to say they have infinite speed. Note, however, that when I say infinite power/speed, I don't mean this in the sense that they are the most powerful characters in fiction, or unbeatable, since when tiering a character, levels of infinity or higher dimensions are generally taken into account. To say something infinite isn't necessarily the limit to the scope of something. As a narrative tool, a universe being infinite can also be used to show the possibilities characters have, or to give an unlimited amount of space to be explored. Generally though, a finite universe is already expansive enough to have enough possible storylines to last a lifetime. So I wouldn't say a universe's size really has much to do with the story, but I thought it was worth mentioning just to tie this into the narrative content I like to do. Back on track though. Even if a universe has plenty of evidence for being infinite, you'll usually hear a few points used to contradict this idea. For example, many of these infinite-sized universes are said to have a center. This argument is usually positioned as saying that if the universe was truly infinite, anything would effectively be infinitely far from the other side, and there wouldn't be a point that could be seen as a middle point. Yet, as mentioned before, universes like Dragon Ball, DC's, and Marvel's are stated to have a center. However, it is actually possible for something infinite to have a center. For example, there are both an infinite amount of negative and positive numbers, yet 0 is a center between both infinite sets of numbers. Even if you wanted to reject this logic, however, statements of there being a center still wouldn't have to be a contradiction, since they could be referring to a central area in the accessible areas of the universe, the observable universe, if you will, rather than the entire area of the universe. Now, another point brought up is if an infinite universe can expand, which is important since all these universes I've been mentioning are stated to be expanding, and in a sense, they can, since it can refer to the space between objects, such as the space between planets or between stars or galaxies, etc., stretching out over the infinite expanse of the universe rather than that infinite expanse changing. The last and possibly most common contention is if an infinite universe can have an edge. This is very similar to the first argument, though rather than addressing a center point, it goes over the issues with an infinite universe having a boundary. Though, even this doesn't have to be a contradiction, as there are models of infinite-sized universe having edges. These are shown well in a PBS video I will link in the description below. Specifically, universes with a higher dimension as an edge, or the space-time continuum folding in on itself to create an edge. Both these cases having something greater in scope than what's possible in 3 dimensions as its edge beyond infinity. This can be applied to many infinite-sized universes, as it would resolve the contradiction being claimed, and as we know via the law of non-contradiction, as long as you can provide possibility, claims of something being impossible or a contradiction aren't necessary anymore. making an argument that can encompass both statements while being consistent the better approach. There's also more specific evidence showcasing this in each universes. For example, in DC, we know the edge of the universe is the source wall, something that is blatantly a higher dimension, even existing at the very edge of the multiverse itself, while also emanating on lower planes of existence. We also have direct statements for the source wall not only being infinite, but also stretching beyond an infinite distance, while in context to the source wall in the universe, meaning that the source wall's existence as a high-dimensional infinite wall stretching beyond infinity would, if anything, support the universe having infinite size rather than debunking it. For Marvel, the edge is known as the crunch. As mentioned numerous times in Marvel, there is an edge of infinity at the end of the universe, showing that, again, even while being considered to have an end, it's also considered to be infinite. We even know that the Silver Surfer thought of the universe as infinite while being aware of the crunch, and despite being confident he could search throughout the infinite universe, it was harder for him to locate things at the crunch, though he eventually did. In Dragon Ball, there isn't as blatant evidence, though we do know that there are dimensional walls keeping each universe from each other sealed, so it's likely this is the exact same thing basically happening with a sort of higher dimensional edge at the end. In Dragon Ball's case, we know no mortal character, such as Bulma, who's the one that makes a statement of there being an edge, actually knows the full scope of the universe, so her statement could even be disregarded, as just applying to the observable universe, as I mentioned on the point about the center. In conclusion, not only do I believe that there is sufficient evidence for universes such as Marvel's, DC's, and Dragon Ball's having an infinite scope, as well as any universes with similar statements, but I think counter-arguments like pointing out the existences of possible edges, centers, and the expansion of universes doesn't really make a difference. If you disagree, I will leave a Discord server linked in the description below, where we could discuss it in a voice call setting. I'd like to thank Eva Scales for helping me with this video. Not only did he review many of my arguments, but also helped show me some of the science behind the arguments too, so please check out his TikTok in the description below. He has many videos about Bleach, which I recommend checking out. With that being said, that's all for this time. E2B out.